Hey everybody, off the mic sports network here. We're doing some Cavs thoughts here. I've had a chance to kind of like rack my brain in the last couple of hours of what the hell we saw in game 4 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. The Cleveland Cavaliers lose 129 to 109. They were down by as many as 44 in this game. Like Indiana has just shot the daylights out. They have been more physical, some bordering on dirty, but they've been the more physical team. They've imposed their will. They've played with more. A lot of the word force has been thrown around a lot, and the Cavs just rolled over in a hole and pretty much died. Like once this got really out of hand in the first quarter, and then the second quarter is when the thing really snowballed, and the end of the half was just ridiculous. Like they just made a ton of open shots. The Cavs defense was terrible. They were missing open shots. They were jacking up threes. It was like the Celtics, and it's like run your offense, go to the basket, do all this, do all that, and they didn't do that. And it was the classic case of Indiana punched them in the mouth and they didn't respond and they couldn't. And their biggest weapon is their shooting ability and their ability to score the basketball. And they just didn't have it. They just did not have it tonight. And for whatever reason in this series, the Cavs' biggest weapon, which is the 3-point shot, their ball movement, and just their ability to, impose their will and generate as good of an offense as you can. They scored 122 points. And yet this one was just like the whole fourth quarter was just garbage. Tristan Thompson basically played a whole quarter. That lets you know how bad this was. Um, okay, so a couple things here. I'll address big picture here in this video. It is officially gut check time for the Cavs. Because yes, they got punched in the mouth and they got their hearts pulled out of their chests after game 2 with that just debacle of a finish. This was just embarrassing. Like this, like that was devastating. This was embarrassing because you cannot, with your season effectively. I'm not going to say it's over, but there are very few teams in the history of the NBA that have come back from 3-1. And Indiana is just playing like the better basketball team right now. Yes, the Cavs are hurt, but everybody's hurt. Everybody's dinged up. And that game 2 loss stings in this scenario because now they've got to win 3 in a row. But if there's any team in the NBA that can do this, provided the health of Donovan Mitchell, and by every indication, he will play on Tuesday. From the horse's mouth, he spoke to Cleveland.com. He said, I'm going to be good. I'll be there. It sounds like he was pulled for a precautionary reason. They were down by 41 points at the half. So why even trot him out there? I'm not saying that he staged the injury, but he tweaked something and it was like, okay, he probably could have gone in the second half if the game was close. But the fact that it was 41 points, it's like, okay, you're effectively almost punting on the game anyway, the way that first half went. They just didn't have it. So, but if there's any team in the NBA that can do this, it is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Absolutely. If the Celtics go behind 3-1 in New York, I absolutely think the Celtics can come back. Had the Oklahoma City Thunder fell behind 3-1 to the Nuggets, those 3 teams in this modern NBA can absolutely come back. The Cavs still have their work cut out for them. They absolutely have their work cut out for them. They've got to win game 5. And then if they do get this back to Indiana, that's where this thing gets interesting because the Cavs have already proven once that they could go there and win. They just have to, impose their will like they did in that game 3 changeover, and they got extra time. They got everybody back. They had that boost of adrenaline, and they were able to round it into form and have a wire-to-wire win. That being said, this performance does not inspire a lot of confidence because they got punked. Like there were multiple instances. Yes, there were some flops and stuff. And I give DeAndre Hunter some level of credit for standing up for himself because he just had enough with Benedict Mathurin. And I covered Benedict Mathurin when he was at Arizona. I didn't know he was this dirty. Punching a guy in the gut just when you're trying to get position. And Pacer fans who are trying to say that, he didn't deserve to get tossed out of the game. Listen, I would have tossed both of them. DeAndre Hunter shouldn't have shoved him, but he was defending himself and he was more within his right to retaliate. That was aggressive, but he should have been thrown out of the game too. Mathurin deserved to be gone too. They looked at the whole thing. They deemed him the instigator. But and what surprised me is that didn't wake this team up. I don't know what was going on in that first half. It's just the Pacers were doing whatever they wanted. They were knocking down every conceivable shot, getting to every single one of their spots, and it's like the Cavs had no adjustment and no response. Because the Pacers made their adjustment off of that zone that was causing them issues in game 3, and the Cavs went to it again, and it kept leading to mismatches in the paint. It kept leading to mismatches and guys late closing out on threes. And it was a disaster. And the whole thing snowballed, especially in that second quarter. They give up 80 points and a half. And it's just like you're left looking around with your hands up and it's almost like you got your pants down. You're like, what the fuck happened? And yeah, I'm disheartened. I mean, that game 2 loss stinks, but I'm more embarrassed by this one because have some pride, man. Have some pride. Some of these guys just flat out quit halfway through the game. They just quit. Like their defensive intensity was not there. Jared Allen was fumbling the ball. They couldn't hang on to the ball. They were turning it over all over the place. It was almost like they got hit by a Mack truck opening the game, and they never could respond. It's like in a boxing match, you get knocked out within the first 10 seconds, and you can't answer the 10 count. Like they were able to wobble their way up and try to just finagle their way through this game, but they were on their heels the entire game, and it's really disheartening to see a team this talented in one of the great Cavs seasons ever be pushed to the brink like this. And yes, some of this is injuries, but some of this is Indiana has played a significantly better few games than the Cavs have. And yes, they stole game 2. They absolutely stole game 2. They stole game 1. The Cavs had it there. Cavs had some injuries near the tail end of it. But you know what? Hey, that was the opening of a series. They had time off, whatever. Game 2 was, the last minute. They had that game 1 and they blew that. But, hey, crazy stuff happens in the NBA playoffs. So allow me to be the eternal optimism guy and basically just say the Cavs can absolutely pull this off. But it's provided that Donovan Mitchell can rise to the level that we have seen him before, and he is available to play. Every indication is that is going to happen. But that being said, he can't do this alone. Like the Cavs and their collective offense and their collective, the way they run this team, Evan Mobley's got to be better. Darius Garland actually had decent numbers, but it was mostly in garbage time. Ty Jerome has been a disaster in this series. Max Strus had his worst game of the series. Just nobody had it tonight. This was the worst that I've seen this Cleveland Cavaliers team play all season. All season. Like they just did not have it at all. Offensively, defensively, zero intensity. Kenny Atkinson got his ass out, coach. He will even tell you that. I'm not going to have it for people who want Kenny Atkinson fired. Games like this happen. And yes, they were not prepared to play, which is inexcusable. But that doesn't take away what Kenny Atkinson did during the season. That being said, we may need to have a big conversation if the Cavs don't get out of this round and pull a miracle. They can do it, but they got their work cut out for them. So anyway, we'll talk big picture and some other thoughts coming out of this because there's some other stuff going on about the Cavs being a 1 seed and being a fraud that I need to address. But I wanted to talk about big picture. It's gut check time for the Cavs. They got to do something, and they got to do something fast. Thanks so much, and I will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.